Hey everybody, welcome to Cooking During COVID. I wanted to, before we started, give a huge shout out to all the people that are on the front lines of this horrible pandemic, especially my friend Mary Lou, who's a nurse here in Texas. I also wanted to offer up my prayers for anyone who's sick or not feeling themselves, mentally, physically. All of y'all are in my prayers. And last but not least, my sincere condolences to anyone who's actually lost someone during this time where they're not allowed to have proper funerals, etc. So my thoughts and my prayers are with everyone. My intention with Cooking During COVID was just to bring a little bit of calm and creativity to all this chaos. So without further ado, I'm Michelle. I'm from The Keys Ingredients, and we are going to start cooking. First thing I'm gonna do is wash my hands. I want to tell you a quick little story. I have a very good friend of mine who asked me if it was okay if I would teach her how to make my tomato sauce for her birthday. Her birthday was actually during this time, March 27th, I believe. I hope I got that right. Anyways, I've invited her here today, and we are going to make one of the things that was actually requested, a tomato sauce. So Meredith, come on in. This is Meredith, happy belated.
Hi, thank you. This is so exciting.
Oh
Sorry. Deep breath, deep breath.
I thought I had a lot of energy. Anyways, let me give you a rendition here. Of course, I wash my hands, and Meryl's do the same. We are going to, I got a lot of people requesting things, and thank you for your responses. Vegetarian was one. We're gonna make a tomato sauce, and people who are not vegetarian can go ahead and put meat in theirs, and you can keep it separate. We are going to make a grainless breading. And we are going to bread chicken and fish because that was another thing that was requested. And we're gonna just work through this together, and we're gonna give you all kinds of different kind of varieties and just ways to use this. So Meredith, if you have questions, feel free.
I'm gonna have a lot of questions.
You guys that are watching, if you have questions, please, I think we have a live chat going, and you send in your questions and we will do our best to answer them here. So first things first, I am gonna call in a couple of other assistants. I have Audrey and I have Isabella. Come on in. Got some my biggest thing, guys, is I love to have kids in the kitchen. So this is Audrey, Isabella. Hey y'all, come on over here, and we're gonna start, so tomato sauce, ironically, is we make them with fresh tomatoes. I'm gonna give these a quick rinse. I know that if you had the grocery list, guys, that you bought some grape tomatoes. Unfortunately, you know, it's not always easy to find everything you need in the grocery store. So we are going to chop up, these are just Campari tomatoes. Girls, I'm gonna have you just quarter those. I'm going to give you each a serrated, I have an automatic faucet here. It keeps me on my toes. So serrated knife. Okay, let me give that a quick rinse. And you're just gonna cut those in quarters. Quarters meaning this way and then that way, okay? If you have grape tomatoes, two choices. You can just put them in the pot, which I'm gonna turn around and show you how to do that in a minute, whole, or you can cut them in half. Either way will work. I love to just, I don't know, I love to make it quick. I like to make it easy. We're all busy, guys, so I want to make this totally doable. So
I'm gonna just interrupt real quick. I mean, one time when we had leftover sandwiches, she had made burgers that night. She took this whole plate of leftover sliced tomatoes, and I'm like, oh, you want me to wrap this up, put it in the fridge? She was like, no, let's make a tomato sauce with it.
So this is what we're doing. So we're gonna back this up here. I'm gonna move my pot over just a little bit, and I'm going to start. I use cast iron, it's my favorite. So I'm gonna go ahead and just fire this puppy up here, okay? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add olive oil to my pot. And I have this, not on high, but maybe about medium. So y'all start up your pots, get your olive oil ready. If you are using canola oil, maybe next time we can switch over to olive oil. Tons of health benefits. One thing I am going to do here, guys, if I have the opportunity, I'm going to mention pros for our immune system, because this is our first line of defense, is our own bodies, which have been created amazing, and we want to fight off things before they get to us. Olive oil, far better than canola, just saying. And we're going to go ahead and put our olive oil. I am generously coating the bottom of the pot. So I don't want any air bubbles, I don't want any, I'm generously coating that, okay? And that's going to be on warm, okay?
I mean, do we have a shot of that? Do we?
You know what? We can do this.
I can do this. Like show, there's people
I'm
like me that don't know how much oil you just poured in there.
Can I just show you guys?
Yes.
Can you get that?
There you
Okay,
go.
so the oil is all over the bottom of that beautiful, I love Stop, it's my favorite.
We're gonna get lots of questions like that.
Okay, so Meredith, why don't you go ahead and we can chop some garlic, which is right there.
Perfect.
I love this garlic chopper.
This, yes.
Okay, so this one here, it just has a little, I don't know, I guess a grid.
Okay.
And we can do that. I'm going to, these are big. We'll just do one. I think we'll just do one. And we took a cooking class a couple years ago, and one of the chefs, I'll never forget this, he said to me, the best way to ruin a dish is to burn your garlic. So this was the advice he gave me. When you put your olive oil in, you just put it on medium, not high, and then just gonna add in the garlic there, okay? And I'll turn up the heat just a little bit, but when the ticket is when you start to smell that garlic, that's when you start to add your other ingredients in. And you can just do that by waving this close to you. I'm also going to add a pinch of salt. Meredith, if you want...
I know, I'm watching because I know you're going to go to the next one next. And
No.
Questions.
If you want to...
See, that's 3 pinches.
Yeah, it is, you're right, it's true. So here's a total
3
disclaimer.
pinches of salt.
Total disclaimer, I'm going to make a bigger batch. And I really struggle with following recipes. I wrote them down for y'all. There's a book out there, and some of you might be following along. It's right there.
Yes.
Meredith will read out the exact measurements for this recipe.
Because I need her to write it down. So many times she's like, no, you just do this, you do this. This is not that hard. And I need it written down.
And a lot of people need it written down, but I want you to understand this. There are parameters to cooking. There are no rules. So have fun. Enjoy. So we have now garlic, olive oil, and salt. We have that in, oh my gosh, you girls are so quick. Good for you. And then I have this is my Italian seasoning. I'm gonna put this over here for this camera. This is Italian seasoning. I get this usually on Amazon, but the brand name I use is Frontier Co-op, I believe. And it just has a really great blend. So
it is just called Italian seasoning. You didn't blend anything?
I did not, nope. It's got a lot of things with basil, rosemary, garlic. No garlic, and no salt. Make sure your spices don't already have salt in them. You want to add that separately. One thing I want to say about salt is I do not use iodized salt. I use something called pink Himalayan salt for an abundance of reasons. Girls, can you smell this? Come on over here. Can you smell? If you can smell garlic?
Well, that smells so good.
Can you smell it? Okay.
Yeah.
One of you guys just take your tomatoes and put it on in. You can
Those are beautiful.
They are. They look great.
You did a great job.
They look great. So I don't know if you guys can hear that. I know this is kind of corny and cheesy, but it's a cooking demo. So that sounds to me like applause. So sometimes I just like it too. So anyway, so much more fun with people my age, honestly. Okay, so now I have the moisture from the tomatoes, and obviously the innards of the tomatoes, which are more moist, and that is not going to burn my garlic. So now I will actually turn this up to closer to high. You know your stove better than I do. And I'm going to take my lid and I am going to put that on top. Okay, and these tomatoes are actually going to simmer down and just kind of break down.
So you're not going to stir that?
Not for a little bit.
Okay.
Not for a little bit.
All right.
You
so everything's still at the bottom. You're okay.
Yep, just leaving it alone for a little bit. I'll stir it in a little bit. And again, if you stirred it, you wouldn't ruin it. It's okay.
All
Let me
right.
prove
So if
that.
you've already stirred it, it's okay.
Yes. Go ahead and stir it, but either way is fine. You don't want things to burn to the bottom. But again, it's got so much moisture in there, it's kind of hard pressed to do. As these are simmering down, okay, I have now added.
Oh, it smells delicious.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Girls, I'll give you some basil and you can use probably half of that and half of this. Okay? You can use I have one of these little handy dandy spice choppers. So you can use that. And I gave the girls serrated knives to cut the tomatoes, but we're not going to use serrated knives on fresh herbs. Tears them up. So a lot of people like just to tear their fresh herbs.
That's a fun fact. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
So we are going to use these knives here. Okay?
For the herbs.
We are going to use these knives here for the herbs. Or you can use this one. It just goes, Audrey, you probably would love this one. It just goes back and forth. Just back and forth. So the fresh herbs that will go into this sauce are going to be the basil and the parsley. I love to add fresh herbs for autoimmune properties, blood cleansing. They're fresh herbs and they add so much flavor. I feel like when you get a jar or can of tomato sauce, that it has a lot of things that do not need to be in there. Number one being sugar. We do not need to add any sugar to this. If you like a sweeter tomato sauce, you could actually cut a carrot in half and drop it right on in, and it would sweeten. It would sweeten just like a sugar. Yes,
okay.
Natural sugar.
Would have never thought of that.
Okay, so let's go through and make sure we have everything that we need.
I love this.
You
This
can
is so stinking
read
cute.
that off. I'm going to add a few tricks too. So
Right. So when you said you drizzled the bottom of the pan, you did 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil. You did, what says 2 to 3 cloves of garlic, but we had a large
You had a
garlic
large
clove.
clove,
Yes.
and I'll tell you what, I'm going to, when I do like this, I actually will take whole garlic later and just cut the ends off, and I'll drop 2 or 3 more in there.
Just to flavor it.
Yes, and then we can.
We're a big garlic family.
I am too. I am too.
We love garlic. So,
Yep. So you want to add another one?
I don't know.
Add another one. Add some more garlic.
I mean, it's your show.
I think, no, it's really not. It's really not. So one of the things that we're actually going to add to this tomato sauce, and a lot of you guys messaged me on where to get this and everything else, we're going to add some Swiss chard. So this is my grandfather, who, big shout out to both my grandparents and my parents, who just obviously enhanced the love of cooking in my life, and my sweet sister who cooks with me all the time. But Swiss chard is a huge leafy green, right? And what do we need more in our lives? Leafy greens. So many vitamins and minerals in these things. So our Swiss chard is going to be chopped extremely fine. And this is, the end of it is really like a big red stalk almost. And we will cut that down. It almost has the texture, of celery. It's probably, you can hear that crunch. And so we'll cut the ends off of here and we'll slice this down the stem just like we would celery. You want to start on that, Meredith?
Yes.
So we'll cut this bottom part off.
They've already been washed. I have
no,
never in my life bought this.
They've been washed once, but we should do it again.
Okay, just for fun.
And I'm going to show a little technique on how another vegetable that looks like this but isn't is called this is Swiss chard, collard greens. And I just want to show you how I would actually cut this. So you would take the leaf and you can pile a couple of them on top of each other, but the leaves are big, almost like elephant ears. So we take this down and then we roll these. We roll it like this.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm going to steal one of these knives. Can I steal this one, sweetie? And
this is so fun.
You're just going to cut this way, and then you're going to cut back, and that way you're not cutting through like something this big, right?
Okay.
So we're going to end up cutting all the Swiss chard. We have basil. You girls can go ahead and put that in. Would you like
Is this too big, too small?
Too big.
Too big.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we can go back over it.
But like this?
Yes.
Okay.
It's perfect. Thank you. I'm going to jump on in here, and I'm actually going, go ahead, sweetheart. Yeah. And I'm going to bring that pot over just so people can see what it's looking like. Thank you.
Oh, I wish they could smell it. It smells so good in here.
Scratch and sniff.
Okay,
Okay,
is this
excuse
going to
me
be
for
one of
one
those
second.
shows those where you're going to set the table at the end and enjoy
I don't know
it.
if my camera, my awesome Eric and Carson, if you guys can get that, move over a little bit. So it is boiling, and you can see how much liquid's already through. All that red and green. Merry Christmas. Okay. Audrey, you go ahead and stir that in.
Do you need me to go put on my Christmas apron now?
Here's a question that I get a lot of times. So I know if you're real old school, and I have family members that do this, is they will peel. My grandfather used to actually boil the tomatoes, and then he would peel. Yeah, it is a lot of work. It's like a day's work if you do a whole bunch of them. And but I don't peel my tomatoes. A lot of times I don't peel a lot of my vegetables, my potatoes, etc. Wash them real good, scrub them, but I leave the skins on a lot because there's so much benefit to that. Lots of vitamins and minerals in the skins. So that looks fabulous. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. So one of and like I say, I know that
But I'm still going. I'm not cutting this red, right?
Yeah, you can cut it. Just like a piece of celery. We're going to put that right on in.
Okay. Yep,
We're going to put it in.
Did y'all hear that?
Sure, that'd be great. You guys can finish cutting this. And there's a couple things that I went and looked at my recipe, because like I said, I don't always follow a recipe. I just kind of use what I have. But I looked, and there's a few things in that I didn't, that they're not in the recipe, that I actually just kind of throw in all the time. So here's a couple things, and you guys are gonna make decisions based on how you eat and what you eat. So sometimes people don't want a meat sauce, they want a vegetable sauce, okay? But you guys can decide how to use the sauce that you make. This is a basic tomato sauce, but a basic tomato sauce would just have tomatoes. I'm going to add some depth of flavor with a few things. The Swiss chard is definitely a way to add that depth of flavor. That leafy green really, it really adds a robustness, I guess, kind of an earth tone. My tomatoes now are all boiled up. They almost look like a tomato sauce. If you shopped off the grocery list that I gave you, you purchased probably one of these, a carton or possibly a jar. Oh, there's my puppies. They're welcome to join us. So we have a tomato sauce either in a jar or a carton. I did ask you guys no cans, please. I'm not really all that hip on cans just because of the aluminum, and tomatoes are very acidic. Even with that non-BPA lining, I always feel like I can't wrap my head around aluminum in food. So anyways.
Is it just tomatoes?
Well, they're not like beans in a can. The tomatoes are very acidic.
Okay,
Kinda
so mostly just tomatoes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it may just be one of my things, but I'm now going to add some of these in here. Audrey, can you smell that?
Yes, it smells amazing.
So we're gonna add this, and like I say, I told you guys that you could buy 4, I think I said 4 of these. Whatever, if you wanna add more, you can add more. All you have to do is add a little bit more of everything. That freaks some people out, but it's kind of the way that I just cook. So, and this one is actually, this is a very nice, this brand, Pommy. It's a nice thick, a thicker sauce. This one here is a little bit more thin. You can kind of see that, the way that it moves in the jar. So some people get pretty finicky about their sauces. Some people like a thick and hearty tomato sauce. Some people seem to like just a thinner one. Totally preference. Like I say, parameters, no rules. So we're gonna go ahead and put this in. That bottom is really, really simmering beautifully. Okay. Now, if my dad were here, he would tell me to get some water, and he would rinse all of these out,
my
right?
mom would do
so
the
we
same
can do
thing.
that. We just don't have to do that right now. It's a great way to use everything. Be very judicious with your ingredients. So I'm gonna stir that up. Okay. Now what's happening is the color went from an orangey red to more of a deep red. Now what is on there that I haven't said?
Looks so good. Lemon juice.
Miss Tara had a question.
Mr. Oh, great. What is it? Tell me the question.
Oh, that looks so good. Okay, Italian spices, fresh tomatoes, grape tomatoes, optional.
You can't read it? You can't find it? Tara, if you have a question, can you do that again? Can you send it back to us again? Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. We'll find it. It's okay.
Okay, so you did fresh basil, parsley.
I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lemon juice. You need 1/8 of a cup of lemon juice.
Would you grab me a fresh lemon? I remember I have a dear friend, I want to give a shout out to Camilo, who helped me do this cookbook. And he was like, you just can't say like half of a lemon or a whole lemon. He said, you've got to say. So I actually took a lemon and then I squeezed it and all that. And then, you know, so what this does, adding the lemon in here, I didn't really do this.
It's so cute.
No, I didn't.
You got a little lemon tree over here. It's all themed.
So what I want to do with this lemon, and it can be done like different ways. You can put a fork, wet a fork, and then stick it in some baking soda and put it in here. The intention of this is to remove acidity. People say, well, aren't lemons acidic? Not when they hit tomato sauce. They actually remove the acidity out, and it gives it that fresh bit. I'll let you do that. Let me let you squeeze the rest of that in.
Perfect.
Now, anyone who knows me and knows me well knows that I cook with wine. Sometimes it goes in my food. This is not actually on the recipe, and I would say 9 times out of 10 I add some wine to my tomato sauce. So what would be the reason for that? The color changes and it gives a little bit of a depth of flavor. This pot is pretty big.
Oops, sorry.
And I'm going to continue filling it with some more. I actually leave the wine till the end, and then I simmer it. I'm going to add a couple of more. I only did 3. Yeah, you can do that.
I'm gonna do so
Or
just like
you
a
can put the
splash.
wine in those too. Whatever you want to do.
Oh, good question.
Might have
Yes,
some.
my question.
Do we use the entire bunch of Swiss chard?
Tara, I am going
Great
to
question.
say, that is a great question. I'm going to say, if you haven't used Swiss chard before, I would use half the bunch, but it also depends on the size of pot. I know before you said that you had made a huge, huge pot of it. So if you're using a pot bigger than this, I'd use the whole thing for sure. I'm going to use the whole thing. It really shrinks up and simmers down. For your family, you might want to try half, and if they like it, you can always saute some Swiss chard with onions and peppers and put that in an omelet to use the rest of it. I hope that answers your question.
While we're talking about the Swiss
Yeah.
chard, just because I've never bought this before, ever.
Okay.
I mean, my parents are probably shaking their heads at me
That's
right now.
okay.
Like the little red things at the end, we're chopping those in. No,
Chopping them in.
we're including those, even though, I mean,
Yes.
they look like celery.
They look like they melt. So my family actually made this amazing dish called Zarki, Z-A-R-K-I. And my grandfather would grow this Swiss chard in his garden. And I don't know if you've ever had the difference. If you've never had Swiss chard, you don't know. But garden Swiss chard is to die for. And we would simmer, it would be mostly Swiss chard in a little bit of our tomato sauce. And it was almost like a soup. And it was delicious. I have not made that in a while, and I may
Put
do
it on
that.
your list.
Yeah.
I'll sort of, whoops.
Yeah. So my tomato sauce, the best thing. How much garlic did you add, Meredith? Did you add
I
your
just
other
added one more.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
Is that
so?
good?
Yes, it's wonderful. I'm
I mean,
also
it's-
going to do one of these. So you guys, go ahead and add your. You can add. I'm going to add probably. That would mean. I haven't quite doubled. I've maybe done it by a little bit more. So we're going to leave the girls to chopping the Swiss chard and adding to our tomato sauce. And then what we're going to do is turn it down, I want to say to about medium, and we're going to just allow this to simmer. Some people say the longer you simmer a sauce, but if I say that and then someone leaves it overnight and it's burnt to the bottom of the pot, it would be my fault. So, oh, hi FedEx guy. Thank you. So anyways, okay, now the next thing is, I'm going to tell a little bit of the versatility of this sauce. You can name what you do with it, I'll name what I do with it, and then hopefully we can come up with a few more ideas.
Okay.
If you do not eat meat, there it is, just the way it is, okay?
Because I like a simple sauce. Like
I do too.
When you said it was in your cookbook, I couldn't find it because I'm a recipe follower
Yes.
and this one had meat in it.
Yes, so this is, you can add bolognese, you can add meat and call it bolognese, ground meat. You could add, I actually put it in the oven, I put peppers and onions, and I roast those at about 450 for 20 minutes, and then it's sauteed peppers
Do I
and
cover
onions.
this?
You certainly can. And then you can add sausage to that and almost do like a penne with sausage and peppers. That's one way to think. You could add meatballs. Instead of adding a meat to your meat sauce, you could add meatballs, or you could keep your meatballs separately if you have different needs. I know some people in their own families, they have different nutritional needs. So some people may be vegetarian, some people just eat fish. So you can make something like this and keep other things separate and then use it almost as, as a resource. people
Pizza
dip
sauce?
pizza sauce.
Oh,
Yes,
that's
and
good.
if you were going to use it
Dipping
on pizza, you might just want to put it in a fry pan and allow its moisture to boil off just a little bit, so it's a little bit thicker.
I would have never
And
thought
it
of that.
and you know what? Maybe it's thick enough, but it depends on how you make it. So if it's real
Okay.
runny, you don't want to use it, but you can fix that very
Okay.
easily. It'll just boil down. And there's a word for that, and it's escaping me.
Reduce.
Yes, it'll reduce to half. So here's one thing, and if you don't eat dairy, you might not want to do this. However, I'm going to give you a little lesson on my favorite cheese in the whole wide world. This is Pecorino Romano. It is a sheep's milk cheese, and the difference between cow's milk and sheep's milk is a pretty big difference. Cow's milk specifically is more inflammatory to the body. So goat's milk and sheep's milk is not so much. I grew up eating Pecorino Romano, so I love this cheese. I eat a ton of it. However, this whole thing, maybe you bought your Pecorino Romano already ground up. Great. If you bought it like this, you can just go ahead, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the rind of this cheese. I noticed the other day in HEB, I didn't see Pecorino rinds, but I did see Parmesan rinds. They actually sell these, just the rind. So if you have not, if you don't have any right now and you want to add to it, I would tell you to taste it. The day that we made this really quick tomato sauce when a couple of ladies were here after a basketball party or something, right?
It was basketball.
Yeah.
After the tournament.
So anyways, and then they tasted it. They were all like, oh, that's good. And I said, let me taste it. And so I tasted it and I was like, no. So I went to my fridge and I got one of these and I dropped it in. And then
Are you dropping it in?
yeah, you can drop it in. And about 15, 20 minutes later, I let everybody try it again. I'm gonna add my wine to that too. Wine and cheese. I mean, look at it. Look at what we're doing.
Tomatoes.
Okay.
It's not
And
getting
anyone who's
better.
asking, that was probably about 4 ounces of wine. So this will add a completely different depth of flavor to that sauce as well.
It really did change the flavor.
It changes the
which
flavor.
is
The wine
amazing.
changed the color already. Now, I will tell you, people will be like, so does it melt? It actually doesn't. It swells and it almost looks like a pancake. You want to remove that and throw it out. So you don't want to leave it after you've flavored it.
Parm would work the same
Parm
way.
would do the same thing. Parm's a little
Okay.
harder. This is a softer cheese than Parm.
Yeah, that looks way softer.
So, ladies, I'm gonna let you guys add your Swiss chard as well. We're gonna do the whole thing. We're gonna put out.
I love it.
We're gonna do the whole thing.
Because we didn't do the Swiss chard when we did it.
No, that was like I say. That's why I
just-
wanted to
I
have
was
you
so
back and
excited.
really honor your,
I'm so excited.
I wanted to honor your birthday properly.
It's a thing.
So, and we're going to move on, guys. If there's other ways you guys use tomato sauce, so one of the ways we're going to use this today is obviously pasta is one of the favorite ways. And today, again, so many people are not eating, wheat or noodles. I'm going to just do a quick thing on noodles. There's so many different options out there. And as much as I'm a pappardelle girl, I love pappardelle once in a while. However, and I love gnocchi, but so those two are probably my favorite, traditional pastas. Trader Joe's has a cauliflower gnocchi that's made with cauliflower and cassava flour. The kale gnocchi, have you tried that?
No, but I just saw it there the other
It's
day.
green, so that might be weird for people. It's okay. And that is a great gnocchi as well. And then there's, so some people are gluten intolerant. Some people avoid gluten by choice, okay? So everyone is always searching for the best rice noodle. And typically, if you've worked with rice noodles before, they go to mush. Recently, I was experimenting with some Thai cooking. Not good at it, but I was experimenting. And my good friend Sue here, she's from Thailand, and I need to get her to coach me a little bit. So anyways, there's a recipe, a brand name called Thai Kitchen, and they just had what you would use for pad Thai, and they were rice noodles, and they were fabulous. They were not mushy. They were really good, right? Mm-hmm. They were. So if you want to find a good rice noodle, they were in the Asian section at the grocery store, and the pappardelle, of course, is in the Italian section at the grocery store. So,
Okay,
anyways,
so pause.
Okay,
Let's back
pause.
to the sauce. So you've got everything in here. So everything on your list is here except for the ground beef. If they wanted to add that,
if they wanted to add that
they add
separately,
it cooked.
you can make this a meat lovers by
Won't tell
adding
that
beef
story.
and sausage. And like I say, if you have different needs in your home, keep it separate and add it. It's fine.
Okay,
If
yeah.
you add meat, it's going to change the flavor. And I like to add. I do the bolognese sauce, over eggplant parmesan sometimes. So you've got a vegetable and a
I've
meat.
never bought an eggplant.
We're going to talk
Saw
about
that.
this.
I was
We're
like,
gonna-
are we going to use it? Are we
We're
not
gonna
going to
talk-
use it? Is it decor?
So
Okay, wait. So we've got everything in
Yep.
here, and you're throwing it in there, and then it's going to simmer.
Turn it down. We're gonna
Is
turn
it?
We're going to
Yes?
turn it down. Yep.
Okay, because it wasn't quite boiling yet. I'm asking for people that are
Yeah.
on the camera going, they're wanting
Not
to
quite
know.
boiling.
I don't. Well, it's
Okay.
now it's starting to
So,
bubble.
starting to bubble.
All right,
Okay.
all right.
So that's fine. That's fine. Now
Okay.
we
and
just
so
grab
now
it.
we keep it covered and we
Lock in the
simmer it.
goodness. We're going to simmer it. He's going to simmer down now, and we are going to move on to a grainless breading. Why grainless? Okay. A lot of people, I don't know if some people say, well, I don't have a problem with gluten. Newsflash: gluten has a problem with most of us, and some people have more of a problem than others. Like I say, we're all different. In this nutrition journey, we're all different. So some people can be like, I don't have a problem at all with that. That's fine. You can eat more of it. But some people get affected now this recipe, I feel like it's just very versatile. So we have removed the breadcrumbs, which means in a traditional breading, you have breadcrumb usually and cheese. So in this particular recipe, we don't have breadcrumb at all. We remove it, and we're going to use coconut flour, almond flour. We're going to use ground sunflower seeds, which is kind of like a what? So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. I am going to grab this is my favorite kitchen tool. Meredith, do you have a Vitamix?
I don't.
Oh, it's okay.
I have
It's
a
okay.
Ninja.
That's just, you know what? It's the same.
It's the same.
Yeah, we just, you know what? High-tech blender is what we need. And I brought out both. My camera guys, can we see this over here or no? I'm not sure if we can. Yep. Okay. So we're gonna.
Should I check and see if you have any more questions? Just
Yeah, go ahead. Check the questions. What I'm going to do, guys, I have some whole sunflower seeds right here. Okay. And I'm going to dump them in my Vitamix. Okay. I'm gonna get you to stand over here with me.
Yep.
And imagine if I didn't put the lid on it. That would have been awesome. That would have been great. So basically, we go from this. Turn this on.
And that's not gonna make a butter?
No. If you leave it too long, it will turn to butter. It will turn to sun butter. Okay, but right now, it is turning into something that resembles breadcrumb.
Oh my
I'm gonna bring this over here so maybe you guys can see. It's right here. You gonna get that?
Okay, and only because I know the fun fact, because I have your book and I love it. I also learned this trick because she uses it in her meatballs, and they're fantastic.
Yes, so
And I remember the first time Audrey and I ground our first sunflower seeds. We were like, I guess we do it like this.
So
You
let
know,
me
it's a little jar.
and let me tell you how this came to be. So I've been working with. I grew up in an Italian home. We do chicken parmesan. We did veal parmesan. My parents' veal parmesan was to die for. But then certain people in my family started having some gluten intolerances and things. So I had to make these. I call them sustainable substitutions.
Okay.
So what I did was I substituted out for coconut flour, almond flour. If you don't like coconut, don't use coconut flour. Just use the almond flour. If you don't like almonds, then switch this up. Parameters, no rules. So then we went to Italy. My mother and father-in-law treated us to this beautiful trip to Italy, and we met this awesome chef. What was his name?
Chef Simone.
Simone. He was amazing. He was amazing. And I said, listen, chef, I'm having trouble. I can't get it. It's good, but it's not like my parents' good. And he goes, what's wrong? The crisp? I said, yes. He said, have you ever cooked with sunflower or pumpkin seeds ground? I'm like, no, I've never done that. So I came back, re-ramped what I did was I removed half of the coconut flour.
Okay.
And I put the sunflower seeds in. So
Okay, well, you just threw out pumpkin seeds. So
Yes.
we can do the same thing with pumpkin seeds?
you can. The color is a little bit more green.
Okay,
So
right.
and the magnesium levels in sunflower seeds are so high.
I know, you spoke very highly about
So
sunflower
I love the
seeds.
sunflower. I stick with sunflower.
Okay.
My dad did try pumpkin seeds in the meatballs. He didn't care for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So now we're gonna go on. Actually, ladies, I'm gonna move you ladies over here, and I'm going to have you cut a little bit more parsley, a little bit more basil, if that's okay. Please and thank you. Oh, you got those? Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Audrey. Oh, look at her. I'm going to keep her, Meredith.
You can't.
Okay, so I will have you bring over these ingredients for. Actually, why don't I bring them over? And
Me? Okay.
No,
Oh.
you're going to make it. You're going to make it. So let me get a big bowl for you. Because then it will be done properly and it won't be all my
Well, and then I can come up with all my questions.
hooligan stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
What are we doing?
Well, let me check the recipe book. Okay. I think we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of each. Okay. The sauce is coming along beautifully.
It's covered. I don't know.
It smells amazing. I want to give a shout out to all my friends from Canopy who find me entertaining for some reason or not. Honestly, they're amazing people. And then I have some nutrition ninjas that I spoke at Woodlands Family Chiropractic. Dr. Keys and all his awesome people there. They let me teach nutrition classes there a while ago. And one of my students actually made me this index.
I was just about to say,
I
mine
know.
doesn't have that.
That's Martha. I'll give you one. I'll give you one.
perfect.
But Martha, she gave me this index so I could find, and I'm just gonna look for, I'm gonna look for some of this breading. And 92 is eggplant.
Yeah.
Basil what?
Basil too? With
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Yeah. And
We got all the
so
basil. Yeah.
here we go. Oh, it's
Eggplant parm.
yeah, eggplant parm. So you asked about you've never done an
I
eggplant.
have never bought an eggplant.
Some of you guys requested fish today. Some of you requested chicken. But the fact that you have some questions, awesome. The fact that Meredith's never cooked with eggplant, I'm gonna whip some of that up really quickly too. So
Okay,
you guys tell me
alright.
the questions, and I'll do my best to answer them.
Okay. Well, some of them are also just making comments. They said carrot is a good idea.
Yay!
All right. Safe loves shout out. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. I mean, this is just fun. Okay, who else is waiting to get started? Yay, let's get cooking. I don't see any questions. Lots of feedback.
Okay,
Lots of people
okay.
having fun out there,
Keep
which I
going.
think is so
They're
cute.
telling, those boys are your film guys are telling you to scroll down. Scroll down.
Yes. Okay. Well, wait. So, did he have a question? Did Ben Hamilton really have a question?
Really?
Oh,
Oh,
did
yay!
this, I know. So here we go.
Okay.
Oh, great question. Sorry, I didn't get the technology
That's
roll.
okay.
That's that.
Oh my
Otherwise, I
gosh.
would be on the other side.
Do you think I'd really be here?
Okay, so great. Was that shelled sunflower seeds? That was great. Yes.
That's a great.
And roasted? Are they salted? I
Yes,
didn't even
great
ask that.
question. So, I buy them raw. Okay, they already are shelled. Trader Joe's, H-E-B, all those places they have them already like that. Especially for this recipe here, I'm adding a lot of Pecorino Romano, which is that sheep's milk cheese I spoke about, and it is salty. It adds a great flavor, but it is salty. So we do not want to use, if you were to use the salted sunflower seeds and the Pecorino, I really find that it would be too salty.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a great question. And hi, Ben.
Roasted,
Thank you for asking.
Roasted or no roasted? Raw sunflower
Do you know what?
seeds.
I use raw.
Okay.
Not that you couldn't use roasted, but I use the raw.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I think
question.
that when you
And now I
roast,
know how to use the iPad.
now that I'm thinking out loud though, now that if you roast them, the oils tend to come out in them,
Okay.
right? When they're raw, the oils are still in, and that's what I wanted it for, the crispness. So I shouldn't speak to
Okay.
roasting them because I really haven't done that.
Okay.
I really haven't done that.
Perfect.
So there's your measuring cups, my
See,
sweet
I'm
friend.
impressed with your knife skills. It's
Oh.
nice. Okay.
Isabella had no
Okay.
choice.
I'm making the breading.
Yep.
Do I scoop?
Your measuring cups are right there.
Oh, because they're so cute.
I
I mean, I'm on a real show.
Okay, let me tell you, you are so funny.
Okay,
I actually
so
got those at a shoe shop.
Tell
I don't know
me,
why I know
at a
that.
shoe shop?
I did. I got them when I was shopping for shoes.
Look, just for our people, our viewers, they're going to get to see how cute all of them are. I'm going to put them in a cute little line. Okay,
Okay,
so what's my
so-
ingredients?
You are going to start with.
It was like page 90.
No, but that said use the
I was
use
like,
the
we're gonna
breading.
take a while to do
Use
that.
the breading that's over here. So here we are,
Okay,
grainless breading.
grainless breading.
Now this breading, we're going to start by making it very basic. That way you could use it for fish. You could use it for chicken. You could whatever. Okay.
Okay.
And what I do is I
Basic
make
breading.
big batches and then I freeze them. And that way when I go to bread something, I already have the breading done. So that.
Another thing I would have never thought of.
Yes,
Okay,
and
got
same
it.
with this sauce. I mean, there's no way. Of course, this is Meredith's birthday present, so she's going to take some home. But there's no way we would go through all of that. So I will freeze it,
Okay.
and then there's many different ways you can use it. You're going to start with. We're going to double the recipe because
Okay.
we're going to make enough to put in the freezer.
Okay.
So that would
Do
be
that.
2 cups of almond flour.
Okay.
Okay.
So cute.
I'm so glad.
I mean, you see these in like boutique stores.
And then this here.
Okay,
and
so
that-
I'm
we'll pass that
measuring.
over. Yeah.
This is a parameter. There's no rules,
Correct.
right? So
And if
this is a cup.
And you know what? If a cup and a tablespoon went in,
I think that
whoop-de-doo.
may have been a cup
Whoop-de-doo.
and a
Yeah.
teaspoon,
Yeah.
But don't do a cup and a teaspoon.
So, okay, so then we're gonna do 2 cups of that. Now remember, I told you that I cut back on my coconut flour. So
Right.
only 1 cup of that.
Okay, perfect.
Only 1 cup of that.
Well, I don't want to.
Again,
Can I do that?
coconuts and almonds, you know what? They like each other.
They like each other.
Okay.
And
so I need
then
a little bit more of that.
I had a container of ground sunflower seeds.
They're over here.
Oh yeah, okay.
You already brought 'em
So
in?
hopefully there's a cup. If not, we'll take some out of our. We'll take some out of our.
I bet you're pretty close to
Yeah.
it. I love all your little jars. And see, I appreciate the fact. Nope, I don't think we're gonna have a cup.
Okay. Well, let's
Nope,
see.
we're
Where's
gonna
my
need
Vitamix?
About a
Oh, here.
third more.
Let's. Audrey, do you mind just blending that up just a little bit more for me?
And your husband did make a comment. I saw in the little.
Oh!
He's like, I'm ready for dinner.
Oh,
Yeah,
yay!
He said it looks
Yeah.
good.
Huge
Okay,
shout out
so
to
we're
him. He's a
good.
huge supporter always. And then, well, you get. Look at this garlic.
More garlic.
More
I love
garlic.
it.
Now
okay.
this says 3 cloves, but I'll tell you what, that is a
a
solid 2.
big
Yeah.
clove.
So I would use a clove and a half for this for sure.
Okay.
You could cut the ends off, sweetie, and crush it. Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's wonderful. And in my opinion, I dumped the whole thing in. Oh, sorry, your mom's making it. Sorry,
Right.
sorry.
This is how.
gonna
This is
dump
why
it.
people like me are here. It's because you don't want to dump the whole thing in there.
Okay.
We want to measure things. Okay.
So just a little. She's gonna just take a
I'm just
little
gonna-
bit.
What?
And you know, every now and again,
Okay,
you know,
good.
if we have people in for dinner or something, they're like, "Is that a
looks
sunflower
great.
seed?" Because they don't all get. They don't all get.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. He's probably got that. And then we're gonna do 2. Oh, that smells great.
I know.
So we're gonna do 2 cups of this as well.
Okay.
So, which to be honest, let me read the package because I'll bet you.
Is there 2 cups in there? No, that was probably 1 cup. 8 ounces.
How many people does it take? to figure
I
out?
know. Serving. I mean, just.
I think
put
it's 2.
ounces.
Let's make a bet. Let's make a bet.
There's no way
you
this
get
is
to
2
take.
cups.
You get to take chicken parm home if you win.
If I win,
Yeah.
I'm saying that is not 2 cups.
Okay.
Or you're saying this whole thing would be 2 cups.
Yeah, I'm saying that.
Okay.
That's my bet.
Oh,
That's my bet.
now we're gambling on the keys ingredients. folks. Welcome.
Get your wages out.
Dang, you're gonna be
So if Meredith adds this cheese just as is, okay, let me tell you the versatility of this. Go ahead and put half of it in the freezer, and there you go. You could now add some
be real
slivered
close.
almonds and use it to bread fish.
Oh.
Okay. Personally, I like the Italian herb in it with my fish.
Okay.
So that's what I'm making for dinner tonight. We are going to actually bread a white fish. And
And I don't want to jump back to the eggplant.
No, we're gonna
But so I mean, you could
I'll show
if
you.
you were doing like an eggplant parmesan, you could do.
absolutely, I'll go through that too.
I mean, it is my birthday. I mean,
Yeah,
whatever
right.
happens.
And then what I'm going to do is once that is breaded, I am going to once the breading is
right.
complete.
You win.
We did it. And you know what?
It was
So
close
for
enough.
good luck. Who cares? Okay. So, anyways, I'm going to
That's why we
have
have to write
Isabella
things
can add her garlic, and the garlic that sits in the breading. I mean, it gives an amazing flavor.
So
And-
even as like little chunks, because it's not little bitty, but
Nope.
Okay.
It's fine,
And so
and
I
it kind of
give
goes
you-
throughout. Sorry.
Can I
Oh
see
yeah,
it?
go
I
ahead.
passed it down.
And then the
Add it
girls,
in.
why don't you girls also, we're sticking with this is going with a tomato sauce. So like I said, if you want to keep it plain, you could just go add your slivered almonds later and bread a fish, use some Dijon mustard. We're gonna keep it all Italian, right?
still ancient.
So we are going to add,
I love your idea. So I could put this like in a little Ziploc bag and stick it in my freezer and use it in the.
absolutely. And so now that we have all the those ingredients, and the reason why wouldn't you just put it in your pantry? Because it has the cheese. So you know you have to put that in the freezer and just keep it frozen. And let's add our parsley and our
Do we have any questions, boys? Okay.
nope. And then I would do a solid. I'll get you a tablespoon, but a solid 2 tablespoons of that.
Okay.
And
Sorry, here you go.
Okay. So that's parsley and basil. All right.
you're saying basil. Mm-hmm.
You do have the cutest little measuring tools. Okay. So this is a tablespoon
Yeah, we're
of
gonna-
just your Italian
We'll do 2.
seasoning. Okay.
Yep.
That you had on your stove earlier. All right. Following along.
So you girls are gonna have a handy dandy job in just a few minutes of breading both the chicken and the fish. So if you bought chicken breasts, go ahead and wash them. If you bought fish, I sometimes get my fish at Costco. It comes frozen. I always buy wild caught. Actually, I taught in my nutrition class, I was talking about how farmed meats are a great idea. So I want you to get your meat from a farm. I want you to get your beef and your chicken and your eggs from a farm. And then I had a lady come into my nutrition class and she says, oh, and I have been enjoying all of that farmed fish you've been telling me to eat. And I'm like, no. Fish, they're in the water. They don't, of course there is farmed fish. There are, where they feed the fish bad things. So you don't want farmed fish. I'm just gonna say you want wild caught fish, okay? At Costco, they have them individually frozen in these little packages. And so that if you bought a package of 8 and you're one person, you can just take one. So I love that. If you buy a whole, like a half salmon at HEB, fish.
Yeah.
And sometimes family, 3 days. That's it. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. So.
Okay, you do have a question.
I do.
Somebody said garlic press work. Are they asking how it works?
Yep.
Okay.
So I would love to show that, and I'm going to take this one as well.
But if that's not your question,
Here's a garlic.
ask it again.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Sure. So I have lots of different tools, right? This garlic press here is one of the ones that you can just go like this, and it comes out here. Okay. This garlic press, I'll take another clove of garlic, and I'm gonna just, is there a knife? Yeah. Just cut it in half for me. And this is, I got this little gadget at Sur La Table.
Cutest little
And you can, with this one here, I don't know if they can, let me remove, can I trade you guys? Yeah. Trade you that? Thank you. And so this has 2 things. You could slice it. Let's do that one because we haven't seen that yet. And it usually has, I know this one's kind of finicky, but I really like this. This was a Christmas gift from my sweet little children. But the whatever's up top here is what's going to get chopped. This will slice, and then you have some sliced garlic. The slices.
I mean, this smells so good.
As opposed to minced. So if that helps. If that was not your question, please resend, and we'll do our best to answer it. And okay, like I said, if you have your chicken, go ahead and rinse that chicken. And then I do want to talk about. I've got some chicken breast here.
So good. And we're still ignoring our tomato sauce. It's simmering. We're not stirring it.
You know what? Let sleeping dogs lie. Thank you, puppies, for being so quiet. And I want to talk a little bit about, so if you could easily just take that chicken and put it in our breading, okay? Okay. Here's a really quick tip. Girls, I'm going to ask you to get where is my little, here we go. Isabella, would you mind drying this out? I'm going to use this little thing here for breading. Why do I not put the chicken, pop quiz, in there? Take a piece of chicken and put it in there. Anybody know?
Oh, because you will get the meat on all of it.
You will get that breading contaminated with the chicken.
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding. Look at it. Okay, now we're tied.
No. We're going to take the chicken parmesan home. It's a wash.
It's a wash.
We're good. Audrey answered no more questions.
Oh my gosh, so funny. So, yes, you want to just take out as much breading as you need. Not as big of a deal if you are doing eggplant, because it's not, there's no contaminants there. But when you're doing chicken, because whatever's left over, you want to be able to freeze. If you just put a piece of chicken in there, then you got to toss that. Huge shout out to one of my favorite quotes is, I like to shake the hand that feeds me. And that would be my farmers, Jason and Lindsay Kramer from Yonder Way Farms. Their eggs are to die for. And I'm going to just show you the color of that yolk. Are you guys getting that? Move it forward a little bit. Okay, I'll switch places here. Okay, how about now? Got that? Do you see the color of that yolk? A colorful yolk like that means very, very healthy animal. If you choose not to eat animals, and let me tell you what, I understand why people don't, because some animals are not treated properly. They are sick, and we don't want to be eating sick animals. If you choose to eat meat, you definitely want, your quality of meat absolutely matters, which is why I always choose to purchase organic, non-GMO, and actually from a farm. So I'm going to just do like this.
Those are looks amazing.
Yeah, it is really, sometimes Carson has a great group of friends. Cheers, shout out to those boys. And Isabella's got great friends too, right? I mean, but those boys, some of the boys that come over sometimes for breakfast, and they're like, did you put cheese in these? Because that's what it looks like.
They taste creamy. So you just put water in.
I did.
In your
it's going to give it a little bit. Goes a little bit further.
You have to say everything.
No, I'm so terrible. I cooked with my neighbor a long time ago. He was so stinking cute. He was 5 years old. And if you look back at some of the videos we've done in the past, he's the one that does the chicken fingers, which is something you could do with this right now. For those of you who are having kiddos cooking with you, and he would be like, I said, okay, go ahead and mix it, and he just stared at me. And then he would say in the video, if you think that's gross, then just use a fork. So, his name was Cannon, super cute. Cannon and Cora both I used to borrow the neighbors' kids to make my videos. Yeah, because my kids were over it. Never. Never. So why do we put egg on our chicken? Anybody know?
To make the breading stick.
Correct. Yes. Correct. So let me stop right here. We could do, from here, this could go in a million different directions. We are going to bread this and let her take chicken parmesan home. So we go from here. I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven right now. I'm going to put that at about 350, convection bake.
Okay.
And the girls are going to, you guys can arrange that however you like. Can you pass me the fish, sweetheart? And what we're going to do is the same thing. We've now done the chicken. We are now going to do this fish. Like I said, this is cod. I got this. If you're a fish and chip lover, then you might like that. It's a very flaky fish. It's just a white fish, very, very mild. People that are like, oh, I don't like fish at all. It's a good one to start with.
Okay.
You know, but again, quality matters. You don't want to be eating the farmed fish. You know, just the wild caught stuff. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pass these girls this chicken.
Okay.
I'm going to do the same thing with the fish. Put that over there. Your cookie sheets with parchment. Why do I use parchment? Are you proud of me now?
I am.
Okay. So I use parchment paper because it's just one of my favorite cooking tools. It saves the pan. You don't have to wash it as much. I'm not a big fan of tinfoil. Again, the thought of aluminum in my food, not so good. So we use parchment paper a lot, and we're going to actually put the chicken, we're going to bread it, both sides, put it on the cookie sheet. You girls will be doing that for a little while I go through an eggplant ritual here. So
do we need the other little bowl?
I'm going to do the same thing.
A really good assistant would have already had that done.
Oh my gosh, you're so...
Audrey, you want to practice on your juggling?
Oh, yes. I'm working on juggling.
You really have?
We all have our little COVID jobs.
Bonjour, je vous fais Audrey.
Oh!
I don't know.
C'est bon.
Saying that right.
Every time I tried to talk yesterday, she was like, shh, shh, shh. No, I've got my one line.
C'est la vie? That's lovely. I love that.
means.
And that little, I forgot my water. Look, I almost forgot. It's okay.
Well, it's all right. There's
Okay.
just perimeters, no rules.
Correct. And girls, I'm going to pass the fish as well. That can be next.
Thank you.
Separate cookie sheet.
This looks so good.
Now, what if I do a bonus round and you get to take home a piece of fish too?
Okay. we may fight over that.
Right?
Yes.
So, okay, I'll take this out of the way.
Oh my goodness.
The way
this is so
that
fun.
I do, okay, I'm going to wash this eggplant. Some people do not like the skin on their eggplant. I think it's the prettiest part.
Yeah,
So the darker the skin that something has, the more antioxidants, right?
Okay.
That's what berries
It's
are.
picking an eggplant.
So this
I'd be
one, I don't know if the camera can see that, but this is older, so it almost looks like there's little dimples in it. It's
Okay.
starting to age. It's probably about 3 days old.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to just show you how to do this. And I was going to have a very dear friend, my best friend from high school. Her name's Paula, and her mother would make this dish called pepperonata. I'm going to add to that dish. It was tomato sauce, which I'm going to take some of this.
Right.
And she just, I think it was like celery, onion, peppers, and then it was almost like a vegetable stew. She would stew those things in the oven, and it would obviously change the flavor of the tomato sauce.
Right.
And then I'm going to serve that with the breaded fish tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So, but
chicken plate.
if you were doing eggplant parmesan, you do medallions. I do medallions about this thick. Some
Okay.
people like thinner medallions. It's all, you know what? No rules. If you like a thinner medallion, then you would do yours like this, okay? When you prepare eggplant, what you want to do is you would, if I was just going to roast this eggplant, I wouldn't bother doing this.
Okay.
But if you are going to turn it into eggplant parmesan, you would take some salt. I would salt, heavily salt actually. I
Okay.
do both sides like this. I always have a story with everything, like when because I don't follow recipes, I don't need every single step, right? Like I just know what I'm doing, which
Yes.
if you're really great at math, then you just do it, you know? And so anyways, I wrote this recipe down and I said, you heavily salt, and we're gonna make eggplant parmesan. One of my poor nutrition students said, it was really salty. And I'm like, oh no! So anyways, you will leave this, anybody know why I do this? Do you know?
to like take the, what's it called?
Bitters.
Yeah, bitters out of it.
Okay. So what it does is it removes the bitters. Eggplant can be a little bit bitter. So
Okay.
we will remove the bitters and so it draws a lot of that liquid out as well.
Okay.
Okay, so
So then before you would bread it, you would rinse it off?
yes.
Okay.
So let's just say this sat for 30 minutes.
Okay.
Actually, I'm just gonna let a couple pieces sit like that. That's fine. And then we will do the same thing. Put it in the egg, and then we will go ahead and we can bread one of these. And now with the chicken, we have it on a cookie sheet ready to go in the oven.
Oh, that looks so good.
I'm going to
girls.
steal. That's fabulous. Our oven is not quite ready yet, but I am going to. I'm gonna steal a piece of this, and I'm going to. Here's a cooking turn. I'm gonna put that on the back burner.
There you go.
I feel like Peggy Bundy. Okay, so I'm gonna put this back one on simmer, and I've got my front one here. I'm gonna grab a frying pan, and now here there'll be maybe some questions about if you're gonna fry that, aren't you gonna die? Probably not today anyways. But we are going to use olive oil because it's my favorite oil. Yes, you should use it on medium heat, not full blown. If you crank olive oil and the oil starts to smoke, nobody should be smoking, including oil. So we don't want the oil to smoke. It changes the chemical makeup of the oil, and it makes it toxic. So we definitely don't want that. That's why hydrogenated oils, they've been boiled at a really, really high, like canola oil, for example, and other hydrogenated. Oh, I threw it out. Yay! See, you get to take both. Now.
I know, I love it.
So anyways, when you boil things at a very, very high heat, it denatures things, and so it hydrogenated the oils. For example, when you use hydrogenated oil, it's like a molecule or so away from plastic. So if you say your dad drove like a 1957 Chevy and he had the McDonald's fries in there from 1957, they're kind of laminated. I'm just saying.
Thanks.
So anyways,
Savable. Okay, so if I were to get a pan ready like that and I get to doing something else, I forgot about it, it's smoking, it's
you have
burning.
to wait for it to cool off. If you pour it in your garbage can, I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. It'll burn right through the plastic in the garbage can. You have a really big mess. Not that I've ever done that. Not that I've ever done that before.
Izzy, I'll with that
know
story
that.
later.
So again, covering the entire bottom of my pan in olive oil. You want to also choose. You want to choose a pan because if it's not covered, it will
Okay.
burn. It will continue to heat and burn.
Yes.
Right. Here's another. I prefer beef in coconut oil and chicken in olive oil. But if you like coconut oil and you're a huge coconut oil fan, coconut oil and butter, they boil at a higher heat because they're saturated fats. So they boil or they heat,
Okay.
they don't need as much to fry. So this is actually, this is gonna be on medium, and I will just wait till that gets to a pretty good,
okay.
medium heat. And we're gonna go ahead and we're probably going to end up frying a piece of fish and chicken.
Okay.
And then you guys can taste it, and
yeah.
we can ask.
My favorite part.
Now,
So I'm going to go ahead. This is a little premature, but honestly, again, parameters, no rules.
I mean, it's crazy that it's already,
Yes,
you
it's
can see
you
the
can
moisture.
see.
Yeah.
I want to put that right up here. You can see that there's some moisture already forming. It draws the bitters out. Some eggplants are not as bitter as others, anyways. But I'll take this, and I'm
Now, do
actually.
you use Himalayan salt on everything?
On
that's
everything,
your,
yeah.
That's your go-to. Okay.
That's it. And I'm gonna just
White
slide-
salt's bad.
Well, it's iodized, and I'm not a big fan. It's 90. What's the? Let me see if I can quickly go to my brain and get my stats. 97.5 of salt is the sodium chloride, where the other 2.5 are anti-caking agents, and it is those that actually kept their chemicals, and that is actually what messes with people's blood pressure. So when they say you have high blood pressure, lay off the
Yeah.
salt. A lot of times people can do Himalayan. No, not a lot of people oversalt. Period. You
Right.
know. But so we're going to take these two, ladies. We are going to. I need probably a little bit more egg, and I'm going to just take this. I'm going to have you guys bread the eggplant.
Okay.
Just the same way that we did.
You might do
Oh,
that.
here's the. Yeah, thank you, Isabella. Here's the eggplant, and another. Oh yeah.
Are you gonna do we
an
need egg? We
Yep.
don't need egg.
Yeah, well, and then we won't use all of this, but we will let. I'm sure my quiet dogs will be happy to eat the rest of it. Everyone's always like, "Oh, they have such shiny coats." I'm like, "Yeah, it's Jason's eggs. They get a lot of my eggs." So we'll just, yeah, it's okay. You can dip it in there and then shake it off. No big deal. And okay, so this is on its way. I'm gonna go ahead. So people have always asked me, like, do you have an air fryer? And I really don't. I don't have a ton of, I don't have an Instapot because I love my cast iron. But there's different, like people say, is juicing better or is our smoothies better? Well, it depends. I mean, are apples better or oranges better? It depends what you're going for. If you are craving an apple, the last thing you're going to pick out of your fridge is an orange. So if you are looking for those micronutrients, juicing, you'd have to eat, bushels of groceries to get those nutrients fired into your cells. Whereas if you just take fruit and put it in a blender, you can't have as much, right? Like you're not going to use, it all gets in there. So it just depends on what you're after. I mean, different.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, maybe I'll do like this. Yeah. The girls did a great job. It's beautifully coated.
Fresh herbs.
And I don't, I used to have one of these things that was one of those olive oil. Please don't get the Pam or whatever, but the pump sprays that are of olive oil. And if you just dusted a little olive oil on top of that, it would even crisp even more. But you'll see after this. I mean, I don't know how long we'll answer questions and take this, but there's.
Okay,
so you can bake it. You
putting
can
that
fry
in
it.
there for?
Oh, thank you. So I'm going to just test this is the way that I test my bread.
Oh, great question. How do you feel about avocado oil? I think that's
You know what? Avocado oil is great. The biggest word you want to avoid really is refined. When you're a lady, you want to be refined. When you're an oil, you don't.
Okay.
So, and you don't want to, avocado, people ask me a lot about avocado oil, and it is avocados are amazing for you. Some people are afraid of the fat that they have in them. You need not be afraid. Oh my gosh.
That doesn't make you fat. Sugar makes you fat.
Oh, see, she's poor thing. She's brainwashed.
Back to your little ponytail
Yeah.
thing. Oh my gosh, Izzy.
So I drop a little bit of breading in my oil, and
Okay.
can you see that it is kind of frying up?
A little bit, yes.
So it's just about ready. That temperature is just about ready, and we can go ahead. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the eggplant first.
Okay.
I will do my chicken next, and then I will do my fish last. All of us in here don't have any aversions, but I just think rather than putting the fish
and
in
I
first.
think we should all try it all.
I think so. I think so.
Okay, one more question just to make sure that we're answering that question. So we could be frying this in avocado oil.
You can.
Okay.
Yep, you can. And it just really depends on what you like.
Are some more flavored? I mean, then there's some people that use sunflower seed.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not really a big. I think that I stick to coconut and olive.
Okay.
I try and keep my ingredients streamlined, especially in the cookbook and stuff. I don't want people to have to go out and buy like this ingredient way over here and then this ingredient way over there. But I do like to keep it streamlined, and so I typically stick to olive and coconut oil.
Okay. Perfect.
But avocados are fabulous. I know a lot of people who use.
I use avocado.
Yes, and on salads apparently it's great.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, it's fantastic. That's our new go-to dressing is avocado oil and lime juice. That's it. Just.
So does it taste like avocados?
Oh, good. No, it
Okay.
tastes like lime juice.
Okay.
I would say avocado oil has a big flavor.
Right. And so there's coconut oils too, and
Right.
some of them don't have the flavor, but I think those ones I think they're more refined, but I'm not really sure. I use coconut oil. I do use coconut oil, but typically I'm a big olive oil person.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm picky about my olive oil, I like the flavors, and so, yeah. Do we have any more questions? You guys have questions?
Do you have questions? I love it.
Roll your questions in. We're going to, I guess
Can I show them?
you can, yeah.
Just a little bit with this, because it's lightly
Lightly.
bubbling,
Mhm.
just like that.
Yep.
And so you have it on like medium high
Yes,
heat or
I
what?
do.
Medium.
I do. Yep.
Okay.
So
That
this
would've
will,
been disaster
and then
if
you
I
can
spilled
take
all
a fork and you can just put it in the eggplant, and when it kind of goes all the way in, be careful you don't want to hit the bottom of your pan or
for
whatever.
sure.
I do a lot of this too in a cast iron. I just love cast iron. So
Yeah, so
I have a
we-
cast iron frying pan in there. That was my first one that I pulled out. So are
And
you?
the good thing about cast iron, you get the little iron bits. Is that
I mean,
good? That's good for you, right?
well, it does add to your food. And,
Okay.
you know, some people have, you know, too much iron. Some people have, again, it's going to depend on,
Your family.
yeah, it really is. And I mean, I feel like I want to make dishes that everybody in my family likes, that everybody eats. And I'll just tell you, first off, the worst thing you can tell your friends, your family, I'm going to make you dinner and it's good for you. I call this that silence is your superpower. So instead of telling people that it's good for you, just tell you, hey guys, I made dinner. Who's
We
going
did
to
that. What
argue?
did we make the other day? It was one of her
Muffins.
recipes. Yes, and we replaced canola oil and replaced it for applesauce. And so we were sitting there waiting for the boys to eat them because we didn't tell them that it was
Right.
in there, and they were like really good,
Good trick,
muffins.
good
So,
trick.
yeah.
Yes. I mean, the
the
minute
hemp
you say,
seeds.
the minute,
Tacos.
And then we tried to throw, I think it was the hemp seeds and tacos. Wow, we're just having some fun with
Good for
it.
you.
Wow, we're
Good for
trying.
you. Yeah, but that's what I mean.
You're
I
making
mean,
me a better person.
oh my gosh, you do the same. So after you could just check. Oh, it's golden
Oh,
brown. It is
that's
golden
gorgeous,
brown.
yes.
If you,
Beautiful.
hopefully that's not.
Oh, that's gonna be
There
so
we go.
good.
So go. You can show that again, Mary.
Yes. Don't spill the oil.
So yeah, no, I've already put them
Is
in.
that a good
and
spot? We
For
got a
those
good view?
moms out there that have young
Doesn't that look
children,
good? Look at that golden.
and you and your husband maybe
sounds
want to
good.
have chicken parmesan, but it's not really, you know, quote unquote on the kids menu, which man needs to go out with the trash in my opinion. But the kids menus, you know, usually things that are not that great. But the good news is there's a substitution for literally everything. Except Pop-Tarts. I'm sorry, I'm not even gonna go there, but
love
I'm sorry. No,
Pop-Tarts.
there's no substitution. So anyway, but for example, you could take one of those chicken breasts that we just popped in, and you could cut it into strips, and you could do chicken tenders and French fries. I've got a great recipe for French fries in the cookbook that is literally olive oil and salt, and I actually got on Amazon a French fry maker. They come out in like little French fries.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, we should be making those on the side.
We could
I'm
easily,
kidding.
we
No,
could
no, no.
easily do that.
question, I
Oh, we have another question? Fabulous.
Okay, I love it. All right. You never use refined coconut oil.
I don't.
That's
I
okay.
don't-
This
yeah.
is about you. So we
And I'd be lying if I knew exactly the differences. Go ahead, that's a Google search away for you guys. But I got my coconut oil for years from a place called Tropical Traditions,
Okay.
and mine was unrefined, but it tastes a lot like coconut. If you don't like coconut, that's why
Okay,
they.
that was the follow-up
Yes.
question because I'm kind of that way. I don't want to say that out loud. I'm
Yes,
not a big
no.
coconut family.
No.
And so we don't love the
I'd be
flavor.
curious though
If
to
you
see if you
can-
can taste the coconut flour in these. Coconut flour is the coconut period
Right.
it's amazing health benefit wise.
Right.
And the coconut
That's a great
flour has a lot of fiber. Do you see how my fork is going right through that now?
Yes.
That's pretty much.
I mean, that looks incredible. So you can keep flipping it until it's the crispiness that you want.
You can, yeah. And you just want to make sure that the eggplant is cooked all the way through. So I think if we're not in any way allergic, did I snag a piece of chicken to put? I might have.
No, I
No,
think you
but
put
you
it
want me to
on
grab
Put it all in? Yeah, we'll grab one. We'll just grab a piece of chicken. I didn't. No, actually.
Don't burn
So
yourself.
this is actually going to be probably 25 to 30 minutes at least in the oven. So
Okay.
we're gonna go
Oh my
ahead and.
gosh.
Like personally, I don't fry a lot of food, but personally, I like to do, like this breading, I like it fried. The whole idea of adding those sunflower seeds ground, it crisps everything up, so I
Yes.
like it fried.
I mean,
Now
that
let me
looks
tell, let's
incredible.
talk about this breaded chicken or breaded fish. Like I said, tonight I'm gonna make this vegetable dish and I'm gonna do the fish over it. Let me tell you the options with this breading. So you can use this breading to bread chicken, and then you could make chicken tenders. You could make chicken nuggets.
Okay.
You can make, you can make.
Kind of
you
feel
can-
like Forrest Gump with shrimp
you
right
could
now.
put, and then you could put on a plate, this is how you would prep your chicken, we'll plate it for you in a minute, but you wanna put the sauce on the bottom. You don't wanna douse the chicken in sauce, because it'll lose the crispiness.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
So, and, a lot of they just put a little bit of
No,
sauce on the
you've
bottom.
got a real pretty picture in one of your pages has a real
Of
pretty
the
picture
parm?
of you. Well, and you have the sauce on the bottom, and that's when I accused you. I said your red sauce is all in your book, but I don't see a recipe for it. It's the
Isabella,
one
would
with
you
me.
mind getting the little, the checkerboard thing that
I
goes on
love
top of
looking
this?
at your book, by
Like
the
the
way,
little-
because you have all your little
Oh.
signatures and your notes.
Okay,
and-
so,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
this
so
is-
cute.
when we first launched this
people can see
cookbook,
that. I mean,
a couple of years ago.
like, this is a well-loved book.
It's very well loved. My son didn't even want to use it in the picture.
I love it. I love all the little fingerprints and the
so
oil marks. I mean, this is a loved book.
So when we did I don't even think I knew you then when we launched this book. Just a cookie sheet.
No.
And we had a.
Because when did this book come out?
So not this past Christmas, the Christmas before.
Yeah. No, I didn't know.
And we had a book signing at which everybody thought I was going to sign the book, and it was a bit of a twist because I said, "Oh, I don't mind signing your book, but
you're signing
if
mine."
yes."
Oh.
So that book is, I teach sometimes cooking classes at Canopy, which is a cancer survivorship in the Woodlands.
Right.
A big shout out to all my Canopy people. And then every time I go in, I'm like, "Did you sign my book?" So it's full. I mean, people have written all over it.
It's almost like your yearbook.
I could probably get another one if I wanted to.
Maybe. I know where to find it.
Oh, I gotta move this over because this is golden.
I mean,
this is
look,
golden
you even
brown.
have like little.
Check this out.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Yeah.
So that's the golden brown chicken. Now,
so how long
obviously,
will you fry the chicken
honestly, I'm gonna be flipping that back and forth for a while.
Okay.
One of the what I could do though, truly, is I could get it nice and golden, put it in my oven to finish it.
I mean, it's beautiful.
The
It's
eggplant
crisp.
I'm gonna take out. I have a little, it's almost like those things that you go on a cookie sheet.
Yeah.
If you know me, you know me well. You know I'd rather give birth than bake. So I don't really do a lot of the baking, so I use this for food.
For draining?
Yes. Now.
Oh my goodness. Your meatballs are my favorite.
I'm so glad.
I love them.
So and basically the meatballs, they've got a lot of the fresh herbs and garlic and the grass-fed beef.
This is just so cute. I'm
so
sorry.
glad.
Okay,
No,
this
you're
isn't what
fine.
that's about.
And if we have any more questions, I'm going to teach
Oh,
y'all
you
how
even
to.
have your almond crusted white
Yes,
dishes
the almond
in here.
yes, that's in there. And so that one wouldn't have all the Italian herbs.
her
That will just
special
have
love.
like some fresh lemon and some parsley on
Yeah,
there.
I mean, that looks incredible.
But I am really
love
hoping that you guys can dive in and you can make this dinner tonight, whether it's eggplant parmesan or chicken parmesan or the breaded whitefish. You can make it your own. And I'm gonna just, if anybody has any last minute questions, we will take those. I'm going to plate this for y'all, and then you can go on with your
Something
day.
I really liked, and then I'll stop.
Yeah.
Is a lot of people, I think a lot of my girlfriends, they work, and so they like to do a lot of their prep work on Sunday. Is I feel like a lot of this, from the breading to the tomato sauce, can be done on your Sunday when you have time.
Absolutely.
And really throwing together the breading and the garnish with the tomato sauce is
That's what we try and do. And people,
Okay.
I mean, I've said this before. I'll get into a food conversation with someone, and some people just don't like cooking, and that's totally fine. But the end of the conversation is always like, yeah, and I'll say, but well, what if you just cooked with a few ingredients, or
Right.
what if you just made something, like a soup, for example? It's like literally dropping a chicken in a pot and adding some vegetables. That is cooking. Roasting a chicken, a marinade, a chicken,
Yes.
roasting vegetables. It's my favorite. I could eat vegetables all day long when they're roasted.
Yes.
Canned, steamed, not so much. But when you can prep things like that ahead of time, it's a big deal. And so a lot of people will say to me, you know what, I just don't have the time. And the truth is, we make time to do what we like to do. So if you don't like to cook, bottom line though, you can't eat out every day. I love,
Yes.
I love Tryst in the Woodlands. I love Hubble and well, it's not.
Yes.
It's now the kitchen, right? Yes.
Yep.
But those places, they do source local farms,
Yes.
and and I love them over there. And so we want to take a break every now and again, but they'll tell you themselves in there, you can't do this every day. It's just not.
No,
healthy.
I mean, in our cul-de-sac last night, just last night, somebody was saying, I just need more recipes that have 4 or 5 ingredients. Because it's a lot.
It is.
Oh, you're going to fry some
So now I'm going to do.
I mean, this is gorgeous.
So those, and I'm going to teach people how to plate. Eric, do we have any more questions there, sweetheart? Nope, no
So
problem.
fun.
Okay, so I am
Okay,
going
so
to.
you trust that this chicken is done? Like, we don't need to cut into it?
I'm trusting that is absolutely not done. I'm going to plate the eggplant, and we're going to
Oh,
finish
okay.
that in the
Okay,
oven.
perfect.
Yes, I'm going to grab a plate from over here.
Absolutely
And
not done.
Absolutely, you are wrong. You
What
could
is
not have
it?
been more wrong.
Would you like to just cut a little bit of parsley for me? And I'm going to tell you what, guys.
You can do it if you want.
Smoke and mirrors is probably one of my favorite sayings.
Oh, she
And
says it a lot.
People say that I make things look so easy sometimes. Most times it is easy. So what we're going to do is now we're going to have a look at this.
I know, but can I share though one of your ski stories? So
Ski stories. Always
I
fun.
love it because, you know, like starting off, she likes to get her ski legs on. And she shared a story at how one time she yelled, cooking is not that hard. And so everyone has their gift.
Yeah.
Some people, their gift is skiing and hers is cooking. So
Yes.
cooking sometimes is hard. I love to cook, but I need it written down.
Yeah,
I need to
and
follow
that
it.
is
That looks
different.
gorgeous.
Sauce is doing well.
I mean, am I
I
going to
would-
burn myself if I want to show these people?
Let me flip.
Oh my gosh, this smells so good.
Now I can tell you that fish is probably will be
So,
done.
another goofy question about this tomato sauce. Didn't say I didn't want all the chunks in there. Could I run it through the
You
blender?
absolutely could run it through your Ninja or your, you know what? Why don't we just do it really quick? Where's my, here, let me dump this out.
If you want to show it, I got you.
Oh, yeah.
We'll do that really quick and
It's so happy.
perfect, perfect. So let's just,
I'm just going to show.
okay, yeah, let's move
I
this
just
stuff
think
over here.
it's so pretty. So you can see the color. All right.
And what we'll do, you know what, to say yes you can. Now I've not done this, so it may take on a darker color with the chard in there.
Chard.
And listen, you can chop chard as thin can be. Personally, I don't mind, but it depends what you like.
Like, I liked a little bit of a chunk, but then sometimes,
So-
like we made cheesy bread the other day, and we had a marinara sauce.
Take that. I'm just gonna set this out of the
Oh my
way.
gosh, that looks so good. You may turn this off?
Sure. Front. And let me see.
You want the
I
lid?
do, sweetheart. That would have been a whole other.
That could have been a movie.
Could have been a whole show
Yeah.
on its own.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna, and you know what, these kind of blenders and stuff, you can,
Okay, so you can see the side.
I was gonna say, but it goes orange. It does go like an orange color, even when you puree any kind of salsa, tomato, any of that. It goes
Alright.
orange first. It does kind of migrate back to red. I don't really know why that is. Probably some chemistry, like, what's his name, Alton Brown? He could probably tell us exactly why that happens. But actually, this actually
I mean,
looks.
that looks amazing. Yeah.
Smell
What-
this.
Can we? We're gonna pour it in a little bowl. Are we gonna use the 1/4 of a cup of sparkle?
Is that what it says? Oh, that's funny. So you know what? I'm just gonna
show
you didn't
it.
smell it.
Yeah.
Audrey didn't smell it. What happened?
I didn't smell it yet.
Okay.
Ah,
So,
okay, so that's gonna be the
You
plating.
can just do like a tiny bit
Oh
like
my
this.
goodness.
Okay, on
It's all
your
about
plate.
presentation.
Mhm. And then you're gonna take. I'm gonna plate the eggplant. So you want.
Oh, yum.
And okay. Now,
I love the concept of putting it at the bottom.
yes.
I
So
always
this
drizzle
will
that stuff at
this
the top.
we're gonna drizzle a little bit. But what I am going to do is there any more pecorino romano?
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so here we go. So this one, when you typically in a restaurant, when you get Parmesan, chicken Parmesan or whatever, they're using Parmesan, but
Right.
there's usually a big piece of mozzarella. I'm not a huge like over the top cheesy fan, so I would just take a tiny bit of this pecorino and
I mean, that
do like
looks
this,
like at a
okay?
restaurant.
and then I'm definitely not going to free pour over that. So I will do a little tiny drizzle here. And you just drizzle a little like this.
That looks gorgeous.
And then
That's so
here,
good.
you ready for the smoke and mirrors?
Yeah.
There's Amarola Goss. So anyways, now you could easily do here, you could do, broccolini, you could do fresh asparagus. And that would be for those
I mean,
vegetarians that
yes.
requested things. Eggplant Parmesan is one of those things. Here's one thing, if I'm just thinking out loud on myself, something that you might want to ask, well, what if I'm completely vegetarian and don't do any animal? Then you would actually leave that pecorino out. I would actually add some more sunflower seed to that. What if I'm allergic to coconut? Then leave it out.
Okay.
But you've got to have you've got to have a little bit of almond flour, something to bread something with. There's substitutions all over the place. So, and one of the things I use for enriched white flour these days Isabella makes fabulous chocolate eclairs. So we could do a whole show on that. I think we have actually.
Yeah.
But instead of enriched white, I used arrowroot, and it was amazing. And arrowroot, not the cookie, but the flour. So, anyways, that is how we would plate something like this. I really hope that you have enjoyed cooking with us today. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and thanks to my tech guys. I love you guys. If you would like to be notified the next time we're gonna go live, cooking during COVID means we're gonna just be in this together, whether we're home or taking a walk or a bike ride, we're gonna be in this together. And we wanna do this again next week. Send your requests in. Let me know what you'd like to see us make next week. I have an idea already, but if you guys have something different, I'm happy to oblige, or at least make mention of how we would do it. And then
I think so. Well, and I just did it with my cul-de-sac last night. I think this is a great time to let the kids cook. I mean, especially this age. I mean, they can follow along.
Yeah.
If you have your ingredients list. I mean, this is fun. Like, how many of us moms would love to take a break?
And
from
unfortunately, the grocery store is one of the most dangerous places to go these days,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yes.
But, when things do get back to normal, and it will be a new normal, I understand, take your kids to the grocery store. Equip them, because when they go off, if you're not living with them anymore and you're not cooking for
I'm
them,
going to be living with mine.
then,
She says that.
So
In our dorm.
that'd be lovely.
Right, we're going to be dorm roommates.
That's wonderful. So, signing off, please subscribe to us if you want to know when we're going live next. And we thank you. We thank you. Thanks again for everyone watching, and we love y'all. Mwah.
Best day ever! Bye!
Okay, so I'm going to put this back in the...
Did anybody want to watch me eat it?
Oh, you can't. Yeah.
it.